G'day everybody and welcome to the Risky Rollers podcast. I'm Dalton and I'm joined by Locky.
Hello.
And by Laurence.
What's up, what's up?
Got a couple of interesting topics to talk about today. We've got a little bit of a rant on Monopose models and the way some of those kits work. And then a bit of chat about some of the way different aliens are talked about, particularly springboarding from the Exodite animation, which has been released recently on Warhammer Plus.
Yeah.
Is that service that everyone has definitely subscribed to and is using.
100%.
Because of the wealth of content that is definitely on there.
So, just a quick one before we get into that. They delayed an episode that was supposed to come out today, or yesterday. Why? I have no idea. They're like, oh, it's delayed. You're like, but it should already be complete. It should be finished.
It should have been finished months ago. Like, I don't... Oh, anyway, so we'll come around to all of that juicy stuff. Very quickly, a big thanks to Tim at Dissects. You'll hear more from him in a bit. Galen over at the Tray Tinker. If you want to get discounts on your dice trays, check out the link and the code in the description. As well as to our patrons for making everything we do possible. We've got a whole bunch of great stuff on there if you want to join in and hang out. And speaking of hanging out, if you want to do that for free entirely and just hang out with us and talk all sorts of great 40k and just hobby stuff in general, check out our Discord. Link down in the description. We've had like 15 new signups this week. It's incredible.
Yes.
There's so many people now. I can't even. Yeah. How do you check how many people there are on a server?
There's you can. I think you can check member settings or something like that. There's loads.
I'm gonna find out later.
Hold on. Here we go.
And I will tell you how many people are there. No.
Fantastic. But yeah, so it's fantastic. Join that. Hang out with us. It's great. So
114.
114. There you go.
114 members.
114 people, which is fantastic. And people are just really great on there. It's a great place to be in a great community.
It's awesome.
Yeah. I talk to people in there more than I do in general. Really.
Yeah, 100%. And it's so good now. There's little mass groups forming. Like right now, there's 3 TTS games going on. Two of which are being live streamed. And it's awesome. It's really great that there's a lot of TTS help out there. I will say, if anyone is just about starting 40k, this is probably one of the best places for you to get involved. There's heaps of really experienced TTS people in our server that have helped a lot of the guys and girls play their first couple games via that system because it is kind of a difficult / janky system. So there's that there for you as well. Our fortnightly club days, which Laurence organises, and we have an ELO ranking. There's so much there. It's just awesome. Come hang out.
Yeah, it's absolutely... or a like or whatever the platform you're using uses. It really does help us out and help spread the podcast love far and wide.
Yeah, big old 5 stars.
Yeah. So without any further ado, I think main thing that I wanted to bring up. Well, actually, no. Let's lead into that. What has everyone been working on?
Nothing. I've had no time to paint or do anything. I had a bunch of models arrive, which was awesome. I had Exocrine arrive, another Hive Tyrant arrive. Oh, sorry, I lie. I built my Scythe Hyrule.
Nice.
And it's awesome. It's destroying a rhino. It's climbing over it. It's going to look awesome when it's done. I'm probably going to be getting into painting that soon. So that's
awesome. That's cool.
Nice.
How about you, Laurence?
Yeah, so in the past week, I just finished 2 Moiraxes and 1, what do you call this one? Magera. And then now I'm building 2 more lightning locks for the channel.
Yeah.
So nice.
All Imperial Knights. But I think for the channel will be Chaos.
They're going to be Chaos. Calm down.
Yes.
All right.
Chaos.
Yeah. That's sweet as. That's pretty cool. Always good to get more models on the go.
And yourself?
So this is where I'll kick off because I've been building Chaos. I am fully committing to the Dark Gods, and am expanding my Crimson Reavers, which you'll see on the channel at some point soon. Expanding my Red Corsair, my Crimson Reavers warband. And I've been expanding it in the form of the Start Collecting Chaos Space Marines box, which I will put out there a few bits and pieces. It's one of the best value boxes that exist currently. So if you are into Chaos Space Marines, I recommend picking up specifically one of these. The reason being is that this box contains essentially one fantastic kit, and then 4 separate kits that you'll never want more than one of. The reason being is that they're all Monopose.
Okay.
But this is it's an old kit though, right?
It is. So the Start Collecting Chaos Space Marines box. Well, it's new as far as Chaos is concerned.
Okay.
It was part of the last big range release. It's the Chaos half of Shadowspear.
Oh, okay, right, yeah.
So it's the Chaos half of Shadowspear, and it's the Master of Possession. Oh, so I'll go through it. The main grievance I have is with the Obliterators and the Chaos Space Marines included in it. So around Shadowspear, they had a big range refresh for a bunch of Chaos stuff. Marines, Havocs, Terminators, characters. This is when the new Abaddon model got released. And they're gorgeous kits. Shadowspear was a box set, a versus box. Phobos Space Marines versus Chaos Space Marines. And it came with a Master of Possession, which is a really, really useful character if you're running Demon Engines and Possessed and stuff like that. And a character you may want more than one of. So it's a real shame that only the single, very distinctively posed Monopose model exists. Especially when a lot of Chaos character kits are renowned for being incredibly useful and like multi-part. Case in point, the Chaos Terminator Lord, which is one of the oldest kits, but still one of the best ones around. If you want just parts for characters, for Terminators, all sorts of stuff. It comes with Master Possession. It comes with 2 Greater Possessed, which rumour has it will be just regular Possessed from here on out, and they're all getting a stat upgrade and a new kit to match the stature of these 2. Which I'm kind of fine with then if they're getting a multi-part release. A squad of Chaos Space Marines, all of them Monopose. But again, there exists a non-Monopose version of this, a multi-part kit. And 2 Obliterators, Monopose, I'll come back to those, and a Venom Crawler, which I would argue is actually a multi-part kit here. Monopose in the sense that you put it together as instructions. There are little tabs that fit in, and all the legs slot into the exact spot. However, it's not like the weird jank of like, front left leg is connected to the front of the chest, connected to the back of the head kind of, the model piece is cut in a weird way and only fits together in one setup. It's, you have a body and then you have separate legs with ball joints that just have tabs in them.
Do you have options though?
There's no options. But as far as posing it goes, you go, all right, well, you shave off the little tabs that slot in, which is super easy to do, and then you have complete posability.
But by design, though, it wouldn't, because you have to cut something up, right?
Kind of. So here's where I'll point out, and this is something that extends to model kits beyond 40k and beyond Games Workshop in general. Lots of model kits that have joints and poses and things like that have like guiding pins or tabs or things that slot in to make assembly easy.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's expected. This is expected as something that makes it. It's an ease of use thing. Someone who's building something for the first time, and it's expected for you to be able to cut those off and repose something. It's not a new thing. It's not unique to 40k, and this in and of itself I don't have a problem with, because it means that somebody who's brand new to the hobby can pick up a Venom Crawler instead of getting, a really difficult time of making sure all the legs sit in the ground properly because they're all just smooth ball joints. They know they can just put it straight together and have it sit flat, and it's good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So no problem with that. The problem I have is with everything else in the box can only be built one way.
Yes.
And this is the kind of thing where, the Space Marines, the Chaos Space Marines aren't, legs and bodies and two arms that fit on its shoulder, that separate at the shoulders and wrists and stuff like that, where you can pose them in all sorts of different ways. If you buy 2 boxes of this and you build them both, and unless you're willing to do some heavy converting work,
You have the same model.
you're going to have the same models. And you're going to be like, oh, look at my army, which has 3 of the same sergeant doing exactly the same thing exactly the same time.
Yes.
Which is baffling to look at.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, again, for the Chaos Space Marines and soon the Possessed, there's multi-part kits available. You can spread that out. And as far as they go, I'm actually, personally, I really, really enjoy taking Monopose models and cutting them up and converting them into different shapes.
Yep.
I got about 15 Plague Marines out of the ones from Dark Imperium, as in 3 copies of the set, and all the squads look different. But as far as someone who's, not necessarily a huge fan of all that conversion work, and there's a lot of cutting and a lot of shaving and a lot of careful stuff involved, this box is essentially useless, which is a pity, because it's the only way to get one of the, if not the best unit in the book currently, which is the Obliterators.
Yeah.
Which are also Monopose. I think you can probably, and I want to get a second kit and try it out, you can probably, with some careful cutting, change weapons out and, swap the arms between the 2 Obliterators. Again, with a fair bit of cutting and shaving and making sure it all fits together. But there's nothing built into the kit that allows you to essentially duplicate them without it looking weird.
And
I think
it's strange.
it's just, and I think it comes down. I think it's lazy design. It's something that is strangely absent in some kits. The new Kill Team kits, for example, the Death Corps of Creek is a phenomenal kit because you've managed to get all of the detail and crispness of modern plastic sculpts without losing your customizability of your squad or of your individual troopers, which is the biggest argument for Monopose models, is that you can get so much more detail and so much nicer sculpts. I'm like, well,
that's bullshit.
The existence of kits like the Krieg one just disproves that.
That's bullshit
outright.
too, because if you look at
yeah,
there's other non 40k related products. So non-Games Workshop products, the amount of detail in other miniatures and stuff like that are multi-purpose, that are multi-kit and stuff do exist. It can be done.
And here's the thing: Games Workshop do produce kits like that. Again,
that's
I've
the
mentioned
weird thing.
There is a multi-part Chaos Space Marine kit, and it looks great.
There must be some serious financial reasons for them to do it, right? Because ultimately, I the only from my memory of OG 40k, and I don't like always going back to back in my day or whatever. It wasn't even my day, just back then. This was 3rd edition. I was 7. The only push to fit stuff was the stuff you'd get in that painting box where you had 5 Space Marines with your 10 paints or whatever it was and your brush.
Right. Well, actually, that's an interesting point, because you have push to fit models as a separate thing again. So none of the models in this box are push to fit, by the way. These are all just Monopose.
So how do you get Monopose without it being push to fit? Oh, sorry, it's in the design of how the pieces go together. It only makes possible. Yeah. Because that's the thing that I found weird in Indomitus was some of the push to fit stuff with Indomitus is fine because you can change the arm position or whatever. But then there's other stuff where you have, and especially this, a lot of the characters are like this. And this is, I think it's okay when you have characters, but it's cut down the middle. The plastic, you know, it's cut through the middle, and there's a leg that's full, and there's a body that's half, and then
well, see, and that's the thing, right?
Reminds me of
half of this frame.
Kinder Surprise toy.
Yeah,
sort of reminds me of.
Yeah. Well, let me see. I would almost argue that push to fit models themselves, I think, are fine. as introductory models. If your starter set is push to fit, I can get that.
Yes.
You can pick up that set. You
I
can
agree.
You can cut your models off. You can push them together. It minimizes the amount of extra crap someone needs to buy to participate in the hobby. To get started.
Yeah, i.e. knives and, clippers
Exactly,
and all that
and
crap,
glues and files and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But my issue is with monopose models that aren't push to fit, or push to fit models that aren't specifically designed to be in a starter box. So I'm looking at this, and as you're saying, I'm looking at it and going, oh, okay, here's a right leg and front body and left shoulder pad and back of the head.
Yeah.
Right? And that marries up with another piece that is like the front of the head and the right arm, and then a left leg and back of the body.
Yeah,
it means that, without quite a lot of work, you can't do anything with that model. You can't change its silhouette easily.
a perfect example for this, right, was the Indominus box.
Yeah.
Prior to me giving it to Laurence,
Yeah.
And when I got back into 40k, right, I started with Deathwatch because I was like mad, because all I loved to do back in the day, because I was more of a painter and a hobbyist than a player, yeah?
Yeah.
When I was younger, I loved converting. It was just my jam, especially that's why I played a lot of Chaos too, because you could just pretty much get away with anything, right?
Yes.
So when I was kind of perusing through things like, Deathwatch, because you can also kind of get away with sort of anything in a way. Like the original plan was to actually make my Deathwatch all like Tyranid hunters, like as though they were all veterans from tyrannic wars that have happened through, like that was going to be the lore of them. Yeah. And then they'd all have like, the backpacks would have over the air vents would be like termagant heads, and then like some of like the shields would be like all carapace, and like storm shields would be all carapacey, kind of like that kind of style, like that very tribalistic trophy taking style. I was like, sick. Indominus came out, I was like, oh my god, like how cheap is all those Space Marine models? Didn't realize at the time that it was pushed to fit, and you can't do the shoulder pads, and like every Deathwatch needs their shoulder pad on the left. Well, you have a shoulder pad that's connected to an arm, like the bicep, which is connected to the forearm and all that, and that's the piece. And then I was like, wow, this sucks. So you have to build it, unbuild it, and rebuild it again. And by unbuilding it, I mean, get chopping, basically.
Yeah. Now, on that note, like personally, I actually really enjoy models like that, and I will actively hunt down and purchase things like multiples of Indomitus Space Marines or Dark Imperium Plague Marines, or in this case, I'm going to buy another box of Starcloak and Chaos Space Marines, because I enjoy the challenge of going, all right, let's take these Monopose models and change the silhouette enough that you don't look at them and immediately go, oh, it's the same thing. But that's because it's a personal thing that I enjoy for doing this.
Yeah.
Short of that, it becomes an incredibly tedious process.
Yes.
And the other issue I have, like I'm literally holding the captain from that box set.
Yeah.
The problem that you have from a converting point is you're limited based on the design of what you can do and how you can position what you want based on the push to fit / monopose design, right? So if, say, this kit, like, yes, it's got all these crazy details on it, but when I take it off, okay, the right arm with the sword is all one piece. So there is no argument there that they're losing detail by having an arm separate from the wrist. There's nothing wrapped around the wrist, and then the shoulder pad separate, right? The left arm that sits on top of the shield, it's exactly the same, and then what pops out is the backpack, and the chest pops off separately. Like, there is whoever, and this is just my aggressive opinion, anyone who turns around and says that push to fit / monopose is done to get more detail has no idea what they're talking about, because you can get the same amount of detail without it. You've just got to think about it.
Absolutely. And like, there was a short period when that argument could have been acceptable, when Games Workshop had started to move towards doing monopose models, and they did look better. But then they started just releasing multi-part kits that looked just as good.
Yeah.
And now with kits like Krieg, the Krieg in plastic coming out, like that's a phenomenal kit.
Well, I think they
And
did the same with the Black Templar stuff, right? The Crusader kits and that, they're all
Yep. So are the New York boys.
multi-part. Yeah, and they're madly detailed.
Well, no, sorry, no, they're all Monopose. The Crusader kit, the New York boys, they're all Monopose.
Yeah, right. Lame.
There's no now, not to mention the stupid bullshit option reduction that boxes come out, that rules are coming out for boxes that don't contain all the options in them. Things like Death Guard Terminators.
That.
Every single one of them must have a different weapons load, otherwise it's an illegal squad. God forbid you want a squad that is designed to do the same thing as each other.
Yeah.
A tactically cohesive unit on the table.
Yeah, I reckon.
No, here is an entire squad where every single member does something entirely different.
Yeah, everyone's a jack of all trades for some reason, which totally makes sense.
Or no, worse, they're all specialists.
Yeah, in different things.
Different specialists.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Like,
even the Death Watch isn't that varied because you just don't kit your kill teams out with one of everything. You still kind of structure a kill team. Do one thing.
And it's this idea they've got that they need to make all the rules be able to be built out of the single kit. And it's like, well, you're going about this the wrong way. You're making the kit simpler, and then making the rules make less sense and be less playable and less user friendly because of that. Instead of going, well, we want our rules for this game to be give as many options, as much tactical choice as possible.
But that's not why they do that.
Therefore, let's make the kits better to do that. Again, I'm coming back to this idea: the Krieg and the Orc Commando kit, right? That came out with Kill Team.
Yeah.
In 40k, those data sheets are incredible. They have all the options they have in the kits, and the kits have loads of options. It's not locked into you build this thing one way exactly as it comes in the box. And obviously they do it because it's cheaper for them to build a kit that doesn't contain all the options. But at that point you go, well, and this is what they used to do, is they would do that and then just leave the flexibility there anyway, so people would have to buy 5 of the same kit.
Yeah.
To get the weapons they wanted.
Exactly.
A classic example, or a current example, I guess, would be the Chaos Space Marine Havocs, where they come with 1 Reaper chain cannon, and for a good period of time, that was the best thing to give them.
Yeah.
So you would be like, well, I need to buy 5 of these kits, or 4 of these kits, to get 4 of them with Reaper chain cannons.
Yeah. I think the Retributor kit's similar. I think you have 2, 2, and 2. You have 2 multi-melters, 2 flamers, 2 heavy bolters in the kit, I'm pretty sure. Don't quote me.
That sounds correct.
Yeah, I don't think you have like 4, 4, and 4.
Yeah, but see, here's what's weird, right?
But then you have one of each in the sister kit.
In the current Sisters book, you can equip a Retributor squad, all 4 of them with the same weapon.
Yeah.
Even though that kit doesn't come with all the weapons. But in the Death Guard book, you go to your Terminators and you go, well, you either kit them all out with, what is it, like Axe and Stormbolter?
Axe and Combi Bolter, yeah.
Or you can kit all 5 of them out individually with each set of weapons options that come in the box.
No, you're thinking Plague Marines. It's the Plague Marine issue.
Terminators also have this as well.
Not in the rules. In the rules, you can only take one special weapon per 5, so you can only take 1 Blight Launcher and 1 Flail. That's it. That's the only things you can take per 5.
Okay.
Where the Plague Marine one is
Plague Marines, I'm thinking
the Plague Marines is the one you're thinking
of. Where it's like one Plague Marine can have a knife and a pistol, and then 1 Plague Marine can have a plasma gun, and then 1 Plague Marine can have an axe and a pistol, and then 1 Plague Marine can have a flail, and 1 Plague Marine can have, as opposed to going,
cleaver,
all right, here is your squad, and you
3
can
flails and 3 cleavers.
or you can equip your choice of 2 special weapons and 1 heavy weapon, or 2 weapons from the melee weapon list.
Yes, like it used to be,
the way it used to be, and it's one of those things where you go, people make the argument, oh, it makes it easier for new players to buy a box and get no.
That's fucking.
They could already do that because
the
options in that box. Fucking Auspex tactics every 3 fucking seconds. But because the options in that box were covered by the options in the by the options in the book. There was just more flexibility. Not only that, but it encouraged from a sales perspective, it encouraged you to go buy more kits to get more shit.
Yeah, it's strange that, I mean, they have made some interesting there's been a lot of interesting faffing around it. Sorry, let me rephrase. There is no clear. It doesn't seem like there's a clear design choice in where their system is going or what the system is, right? In terms of, because they came out at the start of ninth and said, right, if we don't make rules for it, you can't use it, right? Like that was their whole trope about legending.
Which, as much as I dislike that decision, it does make sense.
I get it.
I'm not happy with it, but I can understand where that's going. And I understand that from a business perspective.
I don't like the line that was used to sell it, which was, oh, we're losing too much money to third-party stuff because we don't make those things, therefore we're not going to support it.
Right. Now, did GDub themselves ever actually put out that line? Because I feel like that was just the kind of inference that was...
No, I'm pretty sure that was that was legit. We don't... You know... Yeah, so... Sorry, yeah, you're right. It was inferred. They didn't say we're losing stuff to third-party people, scalping / 3D printing, yada, yada, yada. But they were basically saying we don't, I guess, have the desire to make these... You know,
which is just fallout from the whole chapter house.
Which is that's what I don't like, is the fact that instead of going, hey, you have a whole audience base that want to play it this way, it's worked for you for this long, support it, either keep it the way it is. If it's an issue where people are taking money from you, support it in the right way so that people give that money to you, right?
It's because you look at this and you go, well, you know, with the quality of kit that GDub can put out.
Of course, people would buy legit, right?
100%. It's like, we're losing too much money because we don't make this character, but Chapter House makes that character. It's like, well, start making that fucking character, and people will buy it.
Exactly.
As opposed to losing diversity of the range because you're like, oh, we're not, you know, it's the easy way out of that.
Yeah, of course.
As opposed to. Yeah. And, you know, potentially a more short-sighted version.
To be honest, I actually wish they legended whatever, a few more things. I wish they did it on a rotational basis, where they were just like, right, this is now legend for a couple of years, or, you know, this is now removed from the game, or whatever.
That's a bit of a different... If you're rotating things in and out, that's a bit of a different system at that point. Like, Legends, I know. Is like, here's where we're squatting this, essentially.
No, I know, but that's what I mean. Is I wish they did it with that method, that idea in mind. It would give them a whole nother tool to balance their own game, like massively.
It would.
And it would be cool because then you go, all right, this model's coming back, but it's a new sculpt. You know, more money. It's new.
That would be an interesting thing to consider and think about, actually, because it works well for card games.
Yeah,
because
seasons, right?
Cards individually are cheap.
Yep.
It would be interesting to see how that would work for 40k models, given the premium. I mean, again, I suppose it depends, because you think if they were doing that, they'd probably have to adjust the premium they sell models at and so on. But,
well, they're kind of already doing it, right? Yeah. Because they're heading towards it a little bit, and this is kind of why I brought it up, because they recently did that announcement that a whole bunch of Space Marine characters are being sunset, right?
So, you know, they use the term rotated.
Yeah, whatever. So it's just be like, oh, yeah.
And said they'll be coming back at some point.
This is Legends, and then you're like,
well,
you look at some of those characters.
But those models are rotated. The rules are still current.
Oh, that's it.
Sorry,
they're not
Legends.
producing
just
the models anymore. Yeah. Sorry, that's right. Yeah.
So that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's weird at that point. You just go, because when you look at the models anyway, you're like, no one ever plays those things anyway.
Well,
right?
No, it's literally they're going, here's a bunch of non-Primera Space Marines. We're just going to take them off shelves and just see how much of the fanbase we can get to just move a little closer to the whole Primaris thing.
Oh, can they just rip the Band-Aid off and do it, right?
I mean, at this point, everyone knows it's about to happen. Just fucking get it over with.
I mean, it's interesting. I know we're tangenting here away from what we're talking, but we're on a roll with this, and this is actually because it's relevant to. So, speculations on. I've been thinking heaps about Space Marine 2.0, right? And one of the biggest things I think is the pitfall that Deathwatch has is the fact that their cool shtick of special issue ammunition and all their things doesn't work on Primaris for some whatever reason. They can't load a specific bullet into that gun. Right, it's the same argument as why they can't walk onto certain aircraft
Rhinos and Land Raiders and
for
stuff.
whatever reason.
Yeah.
And then you go, okay, so I'm hoping that as we're kind of pushing by Space Marine 2.0, which is you're going to see all the Chaos releases, then you're going to see it. Potentially, whatever.
Probably before Guard at this rate.
Yes.
And probably before Knights.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
That you're potentially going to get like a full rework on a lot of different supplements as well to kind of mitigate the whole like firstborns. I mean, it would be, from my opinion, it would be really advantageous for them with 2.0 to go, right, no more firstborn. They're off the shelves. His Space Marine 2.0 9th edition, we've gotten a lot of data, and like now you've all gotten used to playing Primaris anyway because we've built the rules around pretty much playing Primaris. The only faction it really affects is Deathwatch, really, like majorly.
Yeah.
Oh, now we're going to do slow releases of Primaris Sangard, of Primaris proper Death Company, of Primaris whatever. Do you know what I mean? It would just seem really a really smart choice for them to just do that at that point.
I mean, I think the quote unquote rotating out the Space Marine characters is potentially a testing of the waters for that. And I don't think that's okay. I don't think Space Marine 2.0 this edition is going to be that change, but I do think that potentially 10th edition Space Marines will be.
Yeah, I agree. I think
Space Marine 2.0 is very likely to be this year, and I don't think that we're quite close enough for them to be able to do that without worrying about losing too many customers or too much business.
No, I agree. I don't think it's going to happen. I'm just saying it would be cool. Like, it just makes sense for them to do it at this point, rather than a whole new. I mean, look, realistically, it probably would have made sense to do it at the start of 9th, right? And just everyone had the fear, and everyone was like, "Oh no, we're going to lose our firstborn." And you're like, "Yep, you've lost your firstborn. Suck it up. Here we go."
See, I would argue that given the kickback against the idea of replacing firstborn with Primaris, I feel like that's why 9th edition didn't, because 9th edition took Primaris and made them more gritty and more detailed and closer to like the firstborn aesthetic.
Yeah.
Which I think is they're sort of, whether or not they have a fixed date for when they're going to fully replace the firstborn, and here's what I think is potentially going on, they're in a weirdly intelligent move for GW, they're actually using the Primaris kits and stuff they released to be market research into where can they, just phase out firstborn, where can they switch stuff away from that.
100%.
And that's why you're getting things like Black Templar, very specific Black Templar, like Crusader squads in Primaris. Is they're like, if we fully replace that, maybe we can just quietly have the rest of that range fade into obscurity. And then, and they're kind of sort of doing that and just trying to make as many people as happy as they can be with Primaris before they squat the firstborn Marines.
That is
I think
definitely their
that's
mission.
where they're going with it.
That is definitely their mission objective. That is their focus, and that's the whole process. That's the whole process of phasing out, right? Is you just even with rules, right? Like the rules is, the rules are and 2.0 will 100% do that. You will have zero reason and zero support for anything firstborn in the 2.0 codex. Sure. That's my theory on it, because that'll be the kind of final nail in the coffin where.
Well, I mean, you saw what happened with the last 2.0 when they sort of tried to push Primaris more.
Yeah.
And they were suddenly the quote unquote hotness in that. It was the Phobos Marines, suppressors, and all the Primaris stuff. And firstborn were just like, we've only got one wound, we're lagging back here. And then the whole shift to 2 wounds thing was to make the profiles feel so similar that playing them didn't feel any different.
Which was weird.
No, see, I disagree because now, and this is because I think this is the way they should have done it in the first place, is just have Primaris just be true scale Marines. Don't make any stupid change at law. You'd be like, alright, the new Marine kit is true scale. Deal with it. But as far as that goes, making the profiles nearly the same. The only difference now is what the extra attack, right?
Yeah.
And and the keywords.
Yeah.
By
all the
doing
support,
that,
all the support.
Yeah. But by doing that, the army basically plays the same. A tactical marine basically feels the same as an intercessor to play.
Yeah, it's not as good though.
Exactly. So you're like, oh, well, they feel the same. So it's not like you're getting a different feel of playing the army by playing Firstborn. And these ones are just better. So I'll just use more of those.
Yeah.
And then, just suddenly they're not as relevant anymore. And I think that was what that change was. Just making them feel the same. And then they're going to get less support in the next book. And it's all going to be about Primaris. And then I reckon by 10th edition Space Marines,
it'll be entirely Primaris.
Yeah, should be gone.
Yeah. And again, it'll just be called Space Marine.
Or even if they're still in the book, they'll be so worthless that no one will ever run them in any serious sense.
It's kind of how they are now, but right, really.
There's still a few all of the chapter specific Firstborn stuff, Sengard, Thunderwolves, that kind of stuff, are still used, but I don't think they will be, or they'll have Primaris equivalents.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's the thing. Yeah. So, you're right with Deathwatch and Space Wolves are probably the ones that use Firstborn the most,
and Blood Angels, Death Company, and Sengard.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, kind of. They're just 1 or 2 units, whereas opposed to the other 2 are pretty much their entire armies. The weird thing is I think that if they were to make Primaris Terminators and Primaris Devastator squads, that's all you need to
jump packs. Assault Marines. Jump packs.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we'll just make the Assault Intercessors have an option to have a jump pack.
I've been saying that since they were released.
I know, but that's it. That's all I have to do for the kit.
And that's it.
And it's a points change, and then now they get 12-inch movement, right? There's no difference.
Yeah. 100%.
Cool designer, if you were to take the design of the Chaplain, the Blood Angels Chaplain jump pack, the jump pack that dude's got, a rework of that
Mark
style,
5 or whatever it is.
That is so cool.
Yeah, somewhere between that and the Inceptor jump pack, you're gold.
But the Inceptors are the lamest models ever. They're so bad.
They're pretty fucking lame.
They're probably the worst models. Next to Centurions, probably the worst models in the entire range of Games Workshop.
I mean, I raise you Mutilators.
Bro, I would...
Mutilators are
even second edition Warriors, man, are better than fucking Inceptors. That shit is trash. What's with the stabilizer thing and the poses all I'm sitting on a lousy chair I'm a... It's just bad. Yeah. It's so cartoony.
Okay, I'll take you one further and say the suppressors are even worse because they're that weird big bulky thing, but then they're also
holding a big sick gun though.
Yeah, but they look like the proportions are so fucking disastrous.
Yeah, it's the same deal, right? Because they've got the stupid supporting brackets. It's how would they move? Yeah. How would they walk?
There's whole passages in Dark Imperium where Inceptors land on the ground and walk around.
Yeah, and you're
and I'm
no.
I look at the model and I go, how the fuck does that work?
Because one of the main characters in Dark Imperium is an Inceptor Marine.
Yeah.
It's so
and he's walking around and fighting and kicking people and I'm like, what? Yeah. No, how?
It's the same thing with the aggressor model. I reckon it's probably one of the best Primaris models, but it's just the ammo feeders. Get rid of them.
See, I'm weird because I'm with you every step of the way logically, but I do think they look cool.
Yeah, I don't like them. I feel it makes the model cluttered. It's just too much. Because again, same reasoning. I'm like, how are they moving on the battlefield? They would just be so slow.
Yeah.
I mean, they are.
Well, yeah, they are. Yeah.
Anyway, sort of weird little space marine tangent. None of us play them.
Yeah.
Yet we care so much. That's Games Workshop's awesome marketing right there. None of us even play or really own any of the models, and here we are talking about the space marine.
I mean, I've painted up both Inceptors and Aggressors, and I'm never doing them again, but I've done them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I just want it to become... I want them to finally kind of just action their plan. Just unify it all,
just
make
get
it
over with.
Yeah, just make it easy.
Move on.
Exactly. Make it easy for everyone. it makes rules for them. So
And
much
stop
easier
making
to
stupid
do.
fucking monopose kits.
And kill off.
Like seriously, it's just fucking lazy.
Yeah, it is. And kill half your characters.
Because specifically Calgar, he does fuck all. And Dante, but that's because he has narrative reason to die. But yeah,
Yeah, Abaddon, please kill Dante.
not to fucking fail Baden though.
Nah, Abaddon's awesome. Bro.
Dante's got to go out to like someone cool.
Abaddon is cool. He's gangster. Bro, he ripped the
He
universe
is-
in
he
half.
is.
No one else
He
has
is.
ripped the
I've been,
universe in half.
Yeah, no, he definitely is. I've read Talon of Horus recently, and Abaddon's fucking badass.
Yeah, man, he's
But
he's
yeah,
much
but,
cooler
like,
than all the
it's-
demon Primarchs, that's for sure.
oh, that's 100%, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh god. But no, so back to my original point, at least to round this whole thing off. Monopose models don't help anybody. Push fit and starter sets is fine.
Yeah.
I don't have an issue with that. But just the weird, stupid monopose, because they still sell them as multi-part minis, but they're not. They're monopose, and it's making a good-looking army one step harder for anyone. And like, I'm not, I don't want to disparage. If you've built your army and you've got 5 of the same Primaris Lieutenant leading it from the front, fine, whatever. Like, it's your army. You do what you want with it. Don't get me wrong, and I don't want to disparage anyone who's not into the modelling side of things and doesn't want to do that. But from a modelling perspective, it doesn't look good to have 5 of the same dude standing next to each other doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Which is one of the reasons that even Firstborn Space Marine armies look kind of meh unless you've spent a lot of time modelling them. Because the old tactical kits, despite being technically multi-part, do all end up looking the same.
Yeah.
And it's one of the reasons I'm enjoying Chaos Space Marine so much is because you've got so much variety with them. But when half the kits, including like the Obliterators, which are the best heavy support in the book, only exist as 2 unique models, it does make life difficult.
Well, it makes life bland.
It does.
Yeah. Options.
That's it. Give the player
Now,
options.
if you exactly, yeah. That said, if you do want to pick up Starklick and Chaos Space Marines, like I'm going to pick up another one soon, you can do that at Dice Arcade with a bit of a discount. So we'll hear from Tim about that and be right back.
dicearcade.com.au. All the biggest brands of miniatures and wargaming. Free postage over $250.
All right, thanks for that one, Tim. I'll be sure to be in touch soon about some more chaos goodness. Now, we also have something else to talk about. Locky, you've been watching the Exodite recently.
Wow, I watched the first episode.
But not the second, apparently.
It's not out yet. It was supposed to come out today, I think, or yesterday, or whatever.
I think it's the first
Yeah, I
episode.
know. It's so fucking dumb.
What was that, Laurence?
How long was the first episode?
Yeah, it was like 11 minutes.
Yeah, 11 minutes,
Oh.
okay.
I
And you
was
can only
pretty-
get that one from the Warhammer class, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, like, technically I am subscribed and I have access to it. I just couldn't be asked.
Yeah,
But
so
I should catch up on it.
for anyone who doesn't
Fair,
know,
firstly-
the Exodite was teased and probably I think maybe a month or 2 after the last episode of Astartes was released. So when the full 15 minutes of Astartes was out, it was a couple months later, and when we just got this from Lost Legion Studio or whatever. And then
Yeah. Well, he was making it before, and then G-Dub acquired him, and now he makes it for them.
Yep.
that's Astartes, but Lost
Well,
Legion,
Astartes
they're
and the Exodite.
yeah, so Lost Legion are a full studio, right? Like, so I think there's like a few of them. Well, there definitely is a few of them. It's not one person, and you could just tell by the quality of it was just nuts. Coming from games and stuff like that, I could just see the difference as well. Like very similar to Astartes level, but they just seem to have this fast track, and it was just going to seem like a lot more was going to come out a lot quicker and stuff. Anyway.
Yeah.
So, I think a lot of people have been quite excited because it's
Tau and Eldar. It looks great. It's not based around Bolterporn.
Yeah, so there is Space Marine, or there's Imperium there, and there's some cool parts. Like I'm not going to spoil anything because you can't really spoil anything after one episode. But one of the things, there's a few things. First thing is a lot of people were quite excited about this because, Eldar, and then everyone's like, well, Exodite's are clearly Eldar, and then the first trailer was just like a Tau ship, so it's like, oh, okay, whatever, it's a bit different. And it was cool, some of in the actual episode, the imagery of the ships is really, really awesome. Like the Tau tech is just shown in a really cool way that like visually is just really dynamic and quite different. And they juxtapose it quite effectively against the Imperium stuff. And what I really loved that they did in this is they don't even show anything about the humans talking, or there's no cut to like inside the Imperium ships. It's just the Imperium ships are just doing stuff, right? They're just doing their Imperium thing. They're coming up, and then they've really kind of doubled down on the whole like Imperium kind of / pseudo Empire style vibes.
Yeah,
that's the kind of thing I think they're going with.
Which is a great thing to be emphasizing for the Imperium.
It makes total sense, right? Especially from the perspective of the Tau, which is what this whole story is taken from. So it's a story about a Tau stealth Shazri or whatever, with squad leader, sergeant, whatever that
Shazray.
Yeah, Shazray.
Yep.
And she's some, whatever. Now,
all right. Before you go on with that, I have a very, very important question about this.
Okay.
How are the lasers?
You don't see any lasers. Oh,
Cool.
No. Sorry, you see the lance batteries in space.
Yep.
And they're just like one continuous long beam thing.
And that is so good to hear.
Yeah,
that is fantastic.
I think it's the way that you like it.
Damn straight. You don't see the beam traveling across space. It's like it's just there. Bam.
Yeah. So you don't see like an ignition where it starts at the cannon. It's just like, it's just
perfect.
There.
Mint.
Now
continue, please.
Yeah. So, but it's cool because like you see this anyway. The actual I love submarine movies and dogfighting movies and like those kinds of things where you have this like Hunt for Red October. Like it's probably like one of my favorite like tense movies of all time, where you really get this. Like naval battle style, right? I find really cool. I just like it. And in this, they kind of do it really well, where the Imperium stuff's all rocking up, and they're nothing massive. I think they're just cruisers and frigates and stuff. They're no like Gloriana ships or anything like that. And then they're like shooting at the tower, and then the tower like doing this. They're trying to land, right? They're invading an Exodite. I don't think it's a Crone world because I don't think they're in the Eye of Terror, so it's a Exodite world, right? And then they're trying to get all their dropships down, and then the humans are like shooting them and stuff, and then there's just like, oh, we're getting shot, guns turn, and just like, bang, just like dead, just like obliterate like 10 ships. And you're like, yeah, that makes total sense. That's super cool. So things like that, and there's anyway, there's some cool stuff. Like one of the other things I noticed is as the dropships are kind of going down, the main ship that it comes from, it notices that they're about to get targeted by Imperium ships coming in, and then actually flies in front of them and banks to cover their entire position by the actual like the Barracuda or whatever, the bigger one. The Manta, to cover it entirely. And I was like, oh, that is so cool. Like, just that little thing was like, that was a nice little, I don't know, just a little thing I picked up on. Like, that's really tasty. Anyway, so my biggest issue with it so far is I think straight off the bat, it's definitely been rushed. Mm-hmm. Games Workshop has definitely rushed it through. There are massive lighting issues, like in the first episode alone, where stuff just seems not as rendered as...
That's a pity because like the lighting in the trailer was on point.
Yeah, well, I mean,
and it was one of the things I noticed was how like polished all of the lighting and the art for it was.
So if you weren't aware, trailers are never ever taken directly from footage. They're made separately, always.
Yeah.
They're always a standalone.
But they
thing.
should be representative of the footage, really. As in, like, that's what I want. I want that to be representative of footage.
Yeah, so the only reason why they're normally they never are is because trailers are used as proof of concepts for like funding and other bits and pieces. So like, sometimes movies and games and stuff are sold on a trailer and they don't even have like a working prototype. So because all they do is they just put 6 months of work into making that 2 minutes or 1 minute 30 mint, and then they worry about the rest later when it comes to it's kind of some of the pitfalls of like how those kind of creative industries work. So that I think was not in this case, because obviously prior to Games Workshop sort of buying them out or what do they call it, appropriating them or whatever. They obviously had full intention of making it to a certain standard, right? Because the standard had been created by Astartes. So obviously there's been some changes where they're not massive, they're just minute things where I was like, this isn't as crisp as that, or the color palettes are odd in a few of them. Like, these are pretty specific things that I was picking up, but this is kind of how I watch movies and how I kind of dissect content. And then, so that was a bit like, oh, okay. And then, to be honest, I was kind of expecting it anyway. I didn't expect it to come out of the same, like, definitely it was going to be the same quality, but just not to the same sort of standard I think that Astartes was going to be, because of the fact, purely taking nothing away from the studio, Lost Legion, at all. Like, obviously they want to do it the way they want to do it, but they have a publisher now to adhere to, and the publisher's going to say, get it out the door, unfortunately. So, again, I don't know. I'm just assuming based on how, mainly video games work, and what I saw in video games and how that stuff functions. So, but my main gripe with it is there's a scene where these, and this kind of segues to a lot. They also do it in Angels of Death, where they categorize and show behaviors of individuals or characters or beings with the same cultural social behaviors as human beings that exist now on Earth, and it fucking pisses me off. There's an interaction between these two stealth warriors as the main Shazray or whatever is speaking to a ethereal dude, whatever, and they're like, one of them basically goes to like try, I don't know, get his system to work on his arm, and then he can't do it. He's waiting and he's holding the team up, and then one of the other woman Tau, I don't know what they're referred to gender wise, but it's a chick, Tau, right? Comes over and is like, it does it for him, and then he's like, oh no, I could have done it, I just needed more time, and she's like, no, and they're laughing. I'm like, this is people, that's humans. I go, Tau culture is a caste-based culture. They do not have humor the way human beings have humor. They do not speak to each other the same way. I was so angry, I nearly turned it off. I was like, how do you
entire psychological structure, being an entirely alien race, should exist on an entirely different dimension to humans. Like, not necessarily greater or worse, like, just a different...
No, just different, yeah. It's not like they're more superior or any of that shit. I'm not saying that at all, right? It's more just that there is law built in of what this culture... So it's not like the culture's not established, right? There is a very clear established culture of how the Tau operate, even from a military point of view, right? You can just take it because it's in a military setting of military soldiers. Do not make them be people. I get it that they have to have relatability to people or whatever, but you're like, that's not going to win you audiences. That is going to deter your audience because they're going to go, this is not authentic. This is not... I look at that and go, Games Workshop does not know, or whoever's making it does not know their own IP, does not know their product.
Yeah.
And they did the same thing with Angels of Death, right? Where you have Space Marines.
Blood Angels are just dudes.
Just like dudes. They're not walking in this like perfectly militarized snap, methodical process of just like bang, 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 dun, dun, like Astartes was. Astartes was just hit
It's the
every
gold
single
standard for the way Space Marines should look.
and not just look, but the
As in, like,
mannerisms,
the way they
like,
should move and
the way they
behave.
should move. They don't talk. They don't. They're manufactured machine warriors, right? Let's not confuse what's going on here. They're not humans. They're not people. They don't think of it. They are man-made weapons, right? And Astartes just hit the nail on the head with that. And the fact that if Astartes never came out, this probably wouldn't be a problem, right? But because it has, and it set the precedent to go, here's someone who's not part of your bracket, who has understood what you've been writing for 30 years about what you've been telling us the stories about how they should be, how they should act, and how they should interact with each other and others, right? Does it perfectly. You, who have all the resources in the world and know everything back to front, crumble miserably on that. And it was tough. It made Angels of Death really hard to watch. It was hard. Astartes was an absolute breeze to watch. And it's only one episode of Exodite. It just really pissed me off because there's one of the things I was really excited about is to see how the interactions between Tau and Eldar and human was going to be in this, and how they were going to really kind of expand on how the Eldar are as a people, or especially the Exodites are, and really explore like what are their, because we've never really gotten much lore on how them specifically see like Eldar and see anything else, see whatever, because there's just a lot of stories about them, right?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, here's a really cool option. Like, how is their culture done? How do they communicate with one another? How do they reference, like, yeah, if they do have humor, how is it? It's not done the same way fucking humans do it.
Yeah.
And it is a lot of work, right? Because you're literally creating a culture from nothing. Like, but there have been IPs or shows or things that have done this over the years. One of the ones
Very rare.
It's rare.
It's really rare to do it well.
One of the ones I think is done okay is in Stargate, which is the Goa'uld people. So not the Goa'uld, the other ones, the good symbiote peoples. Like, their culture is different in the sense of they still have honor and stuff, but they don't understand the concept of like eating and sleeping and all this kind of shit, because they're just like, we don't need it, right? So they're like, well, why don't you just do this thing now? And they have a different perspective on things. So they're I'm sure there are definitely multitude of other examples.
The two that come up as the most obvious to me as something is just entirely alien.
Star Trek
would
one?
be would be the Forever War. The race of aliens in that is just so presented as though they're so completely different. It's not that we can't understand them, they can't understand us, but that we're barely communicating on the same level to begin with, or in the same way. The other one could think about, and this is more to do with AI and the way that might be entirely separate as opposed to aliens, but it's more or less a similar principle. It'd be all the way back to like the earliest points of that. You look at some of the early Russian stuff, like The Invincible by Stanislaw Lem, which is quite an old novel now. But the way and stuff like that is presented, where it's great pains were taken to make sure that it wasn't just, humans but different color, humans but with an extra eye on their foreheads.
Yeah.
Like,
and that's a perfect analogy, because that's the vibe. That's probably the most succinct way of putting it, because that's what I got. I go,
the Tau in this look like Star Trek aliens, where it's just, or Doctor Who aliens, where it's just they're just humans with like prosthetics, just doing human stuff.
Yeah, they're just blue people. And it was really disappointing. I hope it changes. Like I said, it's only one ep. It might be sounding very harsh for only one ep. Like, oh, look, you can't judge it so much. I'm not judging the show. I'm not saying the show sucks. Show definitely doesn't suck. It's definitely a leaps and bounds better than Angels of Death. Like, crazy. The dialogue isn't that bad. It's still bad, but it's not that bad. It's not Angels of Death bad. Like, come on.
Yeah.
So bad. Funny enough, like I did say last time, all the human stuff in Angel of Death is awesome. Awesome. It's so
the problem
good.
is that everything in Angels of Death is human stuff.
No, as in like
As in-
human, like
Yeah, but I mean,
normal
like,
human
the
people.
problem is they didn't switch that off for everything that shouldn't be human.
Yeah, oh yeah, I get what you're saying.
It's yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I just think that when you have an IP as rich in variety of lore in that is 40k, variety of cultures that exist, you have a right to do it properly, I think, and especially when it's under your own fucking banner, right? Like,
Yeah.
know your own product. It doesn't. I've always said this, even about the game. Make the game good, people will buy the models. Make the shows good, people will buy.
Pay
Warhammer
subscriptions.
Plus.
Yeah.
So, Laurence, have you watched it?
No, I'm not subscribed to Warhammer, but I only saw the trailer. I only saw the trailer.
Because by your response before, I got the vibe that maybe you watched it. Go on, Dalton. You got to watch it over the next over the weekend or whatever. At least it's 11 minutes. Yeah, like so. It's just watch it and then come back to me, and you'll be like, oh my god.
We do need to do a full like Warhammer Plus review at some point. So maybe that's next week. Next week's episode will be Warhammer Plus.
But you know what that's going to be though.
It's just going to be bitching for
us
bitching.
Yeah.
But look, it'll be directed bitching because I'm going to watch all this stuff. I'm going to go and read a bunch of Warhammer Vault stuff. I'm going to look right into it this week. And we will talk Warhammer Plus next
You know what we should do? Sorry. We should hold off. We should do it after 12 months. Give it 12 months.
Right, yeah.
Give them 12 months to sort their shit out and figure out what they're doing with it. And then we can, because in that, then we can break it down. We can go, right, what was it like at 3 months? What was it like at 6 months? What was it like at 12 months? Just roughly. But I think you've got to give them the benefit of the doubt, because it's not like if they came out and said, hey, you're going to get all these shows on release and da-da-da-da-da and da-da-da-da, fuck yeah, we could go now, But they never came out and said that. We knew it was kind of going to be a slow burn.
They implied that and then very quickly backtracked on that.
Yeah, so...
Before it came out.
We'll give them 12 months before we publicly bash them for... Because they might turn around, man. They might turn around. They might be like,
look, I would love them to turn it around. I'm struggling to see how, but I'd love to see it.
Yeah.
But
yeah, anyway, just before I end on it, big props to Lost Legion for doing what they've done and landing it was like they've come up with the story and all that sort of stuff as well. That's
they're a fan putting their heart and soul into this project.
Yeah,
and
it's been included. It's canon now. Yeah. It's canon now. So it's the same thing with Astartes stuff. Like Astartes' homemade chapter is ever since it was acquired by Games Workshop is now canon. So whatever they're called, I don't know what they're called. His chapter. But that is cool, and props to them for putting in those hard yards. So well done, boys and girls over there.
Absolutely, and again, leaps and bounds better than Angels a Day. The official G-dub,
so trash. That studio, oh my god, no one ever hired that studio.
So congratulations on that, and I will be checking it out this week.
Yes, that's my last little bit. Know your cultures, everyone.
Yeah. If my one extra little contribution to that is in counting systems. Okay, I'm a big maths nerd. I love mathematics and recreational mathematics. And one of the things that comes up in that is the variety of different counting and mathematics systems we have on this planet, on one planet, right? And I'm not even going to get into the whole Planet of the Hat syndrome that a lot of 40k and a lot of sci-fi in general comes with. That's another thing entirely. But there are cultures on Earth that have developed counting systems. Well, all right. Base 10 already is such a weird one for us to use, all right?
Yeah.
It's there's a bunch of reasons that's why we've ended up there, except for America, because fucking weirdos.
So for everyone out there who wasn't aware what base 10 is referring to,
base 10 is the fact that our numbers go from 1 to 10 and essentially repeat in multiples of that.
Yes.
We have 10 distinct numbers.
You could say metric and imperial for other ways.
No, not quite. Metric is different again. That's a measurement system and it's a conversion system. Imperial is still in base 10. It just doesn't use base 10 for their measurement increments. But the numbers are still base 10.
Yeah, okay, I get you. Yeah.
But you get different, base 12 is an uncommon counting system. Base 5 is kind of fun.
It's weird that
base 8 is fairly common.
Well, base 12 is better, right? Because that's how to do with our
Well, hexadecimal's in base 12. Is it? It's base 12, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Sorry, yeah, I've been throwing myself.
No, but base
12 it has a lot more uses. Has a lot of uses that are in addition.
Closer to nature, right? Because they got base 12 in terms of the 12 months of the year and all that sort of stuff, and then
kind of, not really.
Not really? I thought there was some more logical reason as to why we have like 60 seconds in a minute and then all that shit relating to
that's got
12
to do base 12, and because again that's all still in base 10. But that's got just to do with the way to divide things up. It has to do more with circles and radians and pi. But the point is, there's all these different systems. And you've got some crazy things. Body part counting systems are a personal little thing of mine that I enjoy reading about, which is where cultures have developed mathematics and counting systems, not at all even based on numbers per se, but they'll attribute quantities and things to parts of the body, and that's how they quantify stuff.
Okay.
And you can make these like weird conversion things. We can convert that into the way we would look at numbers. But you can have this entirely separate way of looking at... It's
not standardized, though, is it? That can't be standardized.
It is within that culture, but
okay.
Obviously not doesn't expand because we've expanded with our base 10 numerical system first. But you go, well, all right, if there's that much variance and that many crazy things here on Earth, why would we expect an alien culture to even have a concept of numbers?
Yeah.
Their mathematics might be based entirely on
something completely different.
Some weird concept of volume and orientation of subjects, or there could be. There's a whole idea of this thing of going, well, if you want to create a really compelling or really realistic idea of an alien race, they have to be alien, and there's got to be so much effort to describe stuff that we don't think of.
The funniest thing is the fact that Tau used promethium for their flamers. It's so fun. Obviously, I know they're saying that from the sense that obviously they've stolen it from Imperium, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
But it's just so funny as well.
Yeah.
I mean, the other thing, look, I like authenticity in movies more than anything. If you've got someone from a different country, have that person speaking that language, please. Put the subtitles there. Everyone does not speak English. I don't care. That would have been the real Hail Mary winner for me, is that if actually the whole time the Tau talk, they were talking in whatever Tau language is referred to as, which I'm sure is just Tau.
Or if any of the Imperial citizenry spoke Gothic rather than English.
Than English.
And I mean, we'll do an entire episode on language and stuff like that, pointing out that everything that we ever read in 40k is a quote-unquote translation from Low Gothic into English.
Well, it'd be High Gothic, right? Because they're all...
Low Gothic gets translated into English, High Gothic gets translated into Latin. Because to us, Latin to English is more approximate of what High Gothic is to Low Gothic.
Okay.
Which is why you get all these weird pseudo-Latin words, because it's supposed to be, quote-unquote, the best translation into what would most approximate it to us.
Yeah, the only reason why I suggested it was the fact that the people who would be actually writing codexes wouldn't be speaking and doing anything in Low Gothic, right? Because they would just never be around them.
Kind of. It's kind of presumed it's from a second-person observer as opposed to a first-person writer.
Yeah, all right, gotcha. But yeah, that's a huge one, and that one is very hard. I understand that. I'm not that is next level commitment to authenticity of a product or a narrative or a story or whatever when they're doing that. But I'm telling you now, even if they do it badly, it makes the product so much better.
It does. It really does.
Does. And I have to read subtitles. I mean, look, I watch every single thing, even English-speaking stuff, with subtitles anyway.
Yeah.
It just makes it so much easier and more enjoyable to watch because you can actually you retain all of it so much better. And you can watch while you're vacuuming.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've been rattling on for a very long time now.
We have. But with that, make sure that down in the comments you let us know your thoughts on Monopose models and push fits and multi-part kits, and on the Exodite and Angels of
Definitely.
Death and alien cultures and counting systems and languages and all that kind of stuff.
Jump in the Discord and have a big old bitch with me about Exodite and Angels of Death. I'm all
Yeah.
ears. Let's go. Even if
I'm
you
gonna
disagree,
be
and you're like,
catching
no, it's
up on all of it this
amazing and it's
week.
the best thing ever. I'm like, oh, come at me, bro. Let's do it. Let's hash it out.
And I'm going to be catching up on all this week and chatting about it in the Discord, so come in and hang out and do all of that as well.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for coming on. And we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.